Imagine standing in a steel landing craft, waves crashing, bullets cutting the air before you even reach the shore. For the soldiers of D-Day, this wasn't a movie scene. This was the moment the world exploded. And today, we are walking through every step on that day. On June 6, 1944, the world witnessed something it had never seen before. The largest seaborne invasion in human history. More than 150,000 Allied soldiers crossed the choppy waters of the English Channel, heading toward German-occupied France, toward a coast transformed into a fortress bristling with mines, guns, obstacles, and machine gun nests. D-Day was not just a battle, it was a turning point, the moment the Allies opened the long-awaited Western Front, a moment that would begin the liberation of Europe and set in motion the final collapse of Nazi Germany. But behind this monumental day lies a story decades in the making of politics, conflict, sacrifice, strategy, error, luck, and courage beyond imagination. To understand D-Day, we must travel back to the early years of World War II. By late 1940, almost all Western Europe had fallen to Hitler's armies. France had surrendered in matters of weeks. Britain stood alone, fighting to survive the Blitz, isolated across the Channel. By 1942, the Soviet Union was locked in a brutal struggle against Germany's eastern forces. The Red Army demanded and desperately needed a second front to relieve pressure. Joseph Stalin pressed Roosevelt and Churchill repeatedly, open the West, divide the German army, force Hitler to fight on two fronts. But launching such an operation required planning on an unimaginable scale. Every road, bridge, rail line, enemy division, and weather pattern had to be considered. Operation Overlord, the code name for the invasion of Western Europe, began as a dream, an ambitious concept that only gradually turned into a detailed, meticulously crafted plan. Thousands of planners, engineers, and intelligence officers spent nearly 2 years preparing for a single day. Millions of documents were created. Entire fake armies, like Patton's first U.S. Army group, were invented through deception campaigns. Inflatable tanks, wooden aircraft, and double agents fooled the Germans into believing the invasion will come at the Pas de Calais. This deception, known as Operation Fortitude, was so effective that even after the Normandy landings began, German High Command still believed it was a diversion. In other words, by the time Allied soldiers stepped into their landing craft, the first stage of D-Day had already succeeded. At the center of Operation Overlord stood General Dwight Eisenhower, the supreme Allied commander. Calm, diplomatic, and universally respected, Eisenhower orchestrated one of the most complex military operations ever attempted. His deputy commanders oversaw air, land, and sea operations, but even the most detailed plan could be destroyed by a single variable, the weather. The original date was June 5, but violent storms whipped across the channel. High winds and waves threatened to capsize landing craft. Heavy clouds meant paratroopers would miss their drop zones. The evening of June 5 was a moment of reckoning for the soldiers. Many were young, and few had experienced combat. They wrote final letters, cleaned their weapons, or stared across the channel. For parachute and glider troops, the night was their final calm before chaos. Planes roared to life as thousands of airborne soldiers prepared to jump behind enemy lines. They carried explosives, mines, radios, rifles, and maps. Everything needed to capture bridges, destroy coastal guns, and block German reinforcements. In the darkness, armadas of aircraft filled the skies. Their mission: soften the landing zones for the troops who would soon storm the ditches. Shortly after midnight, the first Allied forces touched French soil. Over 23,000 American and British airborne soldiers parachuted into Normandy. The operation was chaotic. Poor weather scattered many paratroopers miles of course. Some landed in flooded fields and drowned under the weight of their equipment. Others were shot while still descending. Equipment bundles fell far from intent positions. And yet, despite the chaos, the airborne achieved astonishing results. They captured vital bridges, including the famous Pegasus Bridge. They seized crossroads and villages. They disrupted German communication lines. They forced German units to divert resources inland, away from the beaches. Their bravery in the early hours of June 6 saved countless lives during the amphibious landings to come. At dawn, Allied warships opened fire. Battleships, cruisers, destroyers, and rock ships unleashed a storm of shells on German bunkers and batteries. Aircraft bombed the coastal defenses, though many bombs missed due to cloud cover and poor visibility. Even so, the bombardment shook the defenses, stunned German troops, and created crucial openings for the first assault waves. The U.S. 4th Infantry Division landed slightly off course by accident, which proved to be a blessing. German defenses were lighter, and casualties were low. General Teddy Roosevelt Jr. insisted on leading the assault, and families exclaimed, "We will start the war from right here." Omaha was a nightmare. Mistimed landings, strong tides, underwater mines and obstacles, terrifying German crossfire from elevated positions. The U.S. 1st and 29th Divisions faced machine guns, mortars, artillery, and snipers. Many landing craft never reached the beach. Men drowned under heavy packs. Bodies floated beside burning boats. Casualties soared into the thousands. Units were pinned down, leaderless, scattered, yet through raw determination, small groups crawling forward, engineers blowing gaps in the fences, officers rallying survivors. The beach was finally secure. Omaha's victory came at an extraordinary human cost. Gold Beach. Here, the British 50th Division met fierce resistance at first, but advanced. They destroyed German defenses, pushed inland, and achieved many of their day one objectives, including the capture of key artillery positions. Juno Beach. The Canadians faced some of the heaviest initial resistance of any Allied force. Machine guns, fortified bunkers, and rough seas. Yet, by the end of D-Day, they had advanced deeper inland than any other Allied formation. Sword Beach. At Sword, British troops landed alongside French commandos under Philip Kiefer. Their objective, seize Caen. Although Caen did not fall on D-Day, the landing was successful, and British forces linked up with airborne troops inland. Operation Overlord stunned the German high command. Many German commanders believed the landings were a diversion. Armed Group B, responsible for defending France, hesitated to deploy armored divisions. Hitler's personal control over tank movements delayed crucial reinforcements. Rommel himself, the architect of the Atlantic Wall, was away in Germany. He had predicted that the first 24 hours would determine the war. And indeed, German hesitation in those early hours proved decisive. Allied air superiority also crippled German mobility. Every road, bridge, and convoy risked destruction from fight bombers circling above. By the night of June 6, the Allies held all 5 beaches, not perfectly, but firmly enough to pour reinforcements into Normandy. Within days, hundreds of thousands of additional troopers crossed the channel. Massive artificial harbors allowed tanks, trucks, and supplies to reach land without natural port. Pipeline systems, known as Pluto pumping fuel under the ocean to supply the fast-approaching Allied armies. Beachhead Head was secure. The second front was open. Next challenge was Normandy countryside. The bocage, dense hedgerows, dividing tiny fields, created natural fortress. Tanks could not maneuver. Infantry were ambushed at every turn. German panzer divisions counterattacked relentlessly. The battle became one of the most brutal of the war. Weeks of grinding infantry combat, snipers in every hedgerow, mines, traps, hidden machine guns, artillery pounding every advance. Despite the heavy cost, Allied forces slowly broke through. By late July, the Americans launched Operation Cobra, a massive carpet bombing followed by a rapid armored thrust through weakened German lines. The German army, battered and without air support, began to collapse. Town after town fell. The Allied breakout was unstoppable. By August, Paris was liberated. In September, Allied troops reached the borders of Germany. D-Day was the beginning of the end. The price was staggering. On D-Day alone, around 20,000 Allied casualties, thousands more wounded or missed. Entire units devastated, families forever changed. Across Normandy, civilians suffered immensely. Towns were destroyed, villages burned. Tens of thousands were killed or displaced. But through the horror emerged liberation, hope, and ultimately, victory. D-Day is remembered as one of the greatest acts of courage in history. It was the moment when free nations united to fight tyranny on a scale never before attempted. The beaches of Normandy are quiet now, but their silence carries the echoes of every soldier who stepped off a boat that morning, knowing the odds, feeling the fear, yet moving forward anyway. Their sacrifice carved a path for freedom, not just for Europe, but for the world.
Hi, my name is Mike. Welcome to the Late Historian channel. If you like the content, please subscribe and hit the like button. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.